Hello and welcome back to the Rocket League MapMaking tutorial series. Today I'm going to be showing you how to control players as objects. So, this is more Kismet, and if you haven't watched the last video, you should watch it because I'm going to be using these triggers that I set up right here in the last video. So, why do you want to set a player as an object? Well, there's a few reasons. One, you might want to teleport the player whenever you want to, or set its location. Not that, or set its location. These are the same thing, but you might want to teleport it. You might want to set its velocity. You might want to do, I don't know, a bunch of this stuff. Objects are very useful for doing a ton of stuff. And so we're going to be using, I'm going to delete all this. We're going to be using this code. Well, we're going to be using some of this code up here. And yeah, so it's actually very simple to do this. All you have to do is right click, action, set variable, and object. And then right after it teleports them, you can set the value like that. And then I'm going to make a comment over here and name it variables, and then I'm going to check draw a box, and now we have a box. And we're going to make some named variables. So we're going to do new variable, object. You can also do left click and it creates one. Right here, the variable name, we're going to put blue 1 because we want blue 1, and then we're gonna have blue 2. And then we're gonna do the same thing for orange, which I always call red. So red 1. Or I sometimes call it red or orange. Depends on what I'm doing or how many I have this make. The only reason I use red instead of orange is because it's less letters, and red's really easy to type. The 3 letters are right next to each other on the keyboard. So now we have blue 1, blue 2, red 1, red 2. And now if we go to new variable, named variable, we can type into the variable name blue 1. And now this is referencing this, just like that. And so if we want to set the object of blue 1, we can set it just like that. And if you also want to just, create an object and name it blue 1 like this, you can do that too. But named variables are something I haven't gone over yet, and this is a very simple example to go over them. And then I'm going to do the same set object to node, and it's going to be the same value. And then I'm going to hit N and left click while my mouse is over the connector, and it's going to connect a named variable node just like that, and blue 2. And we do the same thing here. Set variable object, and left click red 1, set variable object, and red 2. So just like that, we have our player set. Now let me move these over. Let's say I want to move these. I don't know what that's there for. Let's say I want to affect just everyone. So let's say now that I want to modify the players, everyone at once, and then I don't have to set the objects or anything. I just want to modify everyone at once. I could do new variable and player. I can also do P left click, creates one right there. But this is a player node, so if I wanted something to affect all the players, I can just use this node. And if I deselect this, it's player 0, and then all players. Players are assigned by the order that people join the match. So 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. I've moved the other Kismet over, but let's say I want to now put blue team all together. So I want to modify blue team as a whole. I'm going to do right click, new action, object list, modify object list. And after these are done, add to the list, just like that. And then the object list variable, we're going to create a new variable up here in our named variables. Object list. And we're going to name this blue all. And then copy paste and name this to red all, just like that. So we got blue all and red all. So now if we hit add and left click, we have blue all. Also, you do not have to use caps when you're typing into the name variable. So if I go to object list and modify object list, just like that, add to list, bam, bam. And then I create a name variable connect to this. I can type in red all, just like that, on lowercase, and if I hit enter, it'll automatically capitalize it as I have it up here. So you can capitalize here, and it'll just capitalize here and make it look all nice automatically for you. And then we have our all players node, but now we have our teams separated, and we have players and teams separated, just like that. And the reason we do this is you want to add to the list every time after an object is assigned. So you want to add to the list every time after an object is assigned, and that's because after you get demoed, this is wiped. So if you joined the game initially and you were blue 1 and you changed to spectator, blue 1 no longer exists. And then if you join back, it will assign you one of these two. Blue 1 doesn't exist. You might be blue 1 again, but that's coincidence out of the two. That's pretty much all I wanted to talk about, was that you could assign players as objects, because this is very useful when making huge maps. It's very easy to individualize. So another thing I could do is if I wanted to just assign if I wanted to just assign players without having to touch triggers, I could do that too. It's a little different, but you just go to new event, TA game, correspond, right click, new action, set variable object, and we'll move that over there. Instigator, just like that, bam, and then we'll just copy paste this 4 times. And then we'll do new action, switch, random, again, looping, auto-sable 4, since we have 4 objects, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then right here I'm just going to create the name variables. So if I want player 1, I'm actually just going to type P1 just like that. That's going to be easy later. P2, P3, P4. And you're thinking, okay, why do I have to set them? Why would I do this at all? I could just use all players. And for most cases, yeah, you can just use all players. But if you, for some reason, need to do it, here it is. And you're also probably thinking, well, couldn't I just use player 0 and then 1 through 4, just like this? So 1, actually it'd be through 3, since 0 counts as the host. So you're probably wondering why you can't just use player variables like this. And that's because player 0 is very special in the sense that it doesn't actually identify one player. It identifies the client side of every single player. At least that's how I understand it. Player 0 is very difficult to understand, and I still don't fully understand what player 0 is. But as far as I understand, it is the client side of every player. So if you reference player 0, it's referencing the client side of every single person. Rather than referencing all players, you can reference player 0. And player 0 will reference the client side, all players will reference the server side of all the players. And I know that probably doesn't make sense, but player 0 doesn't really make sense, so you can do this if you want. But that's going to be it for this tutorial. It's a really quick one. The next few are going to be longer, but I'm getting to the point where I'm going to the end of planned tutorials. After this tutorial, I have 4 left planned. So if you have any ideas of what you want me to do on this and explain, let me know. and I will add it to the list. I have a list that I've been going through of all the stuff I want to cover. We're going to be going over a lot of things in the future, but HUD is coming very soon. Along with next episode, we're going to be talking about a checkpoint system, and then we're going to be talking about HUD. And HUD is very fun to use once you know how to use it. But that's going to be all from me. See you in the next episode.